Hello, I'm Carrie from Carrie Dubber Therapy, and I'm using this session this afternoon to work on finding your direction. When I'm working with people as a competence coach or within therapy, I find that it's quite common to feel stuck in relationships, stuck in your life, stuck in your work, at a crossroads, I suppose, and not feeling sure of which way to turn, not knowing which way to go and how to go about it. And those feelings, when we are stuck, can be very overwhelming. The anxiety can be quite significant. And that feels then that we have less confidence in ourselves to make the right decision. Now, what I'd say to people is that when we're stuck and we seem to be not going in any direction in particular, that the best thing to do is start making some steps, start taking some action, and that will help you sort of orientate yourself and see where you're at and see what you want or what you don't want. So today really is to explore with you some of the things I try with people, how I work through to gain some more perspective and see whether there's any changes that can take place. So I'm going to use slides in the background, but really just as a stepping stone, really a jumping off point for the discussions. So I'm going to share now my screen so that we can start this today. All right, so bear with me. Here we go. All right. So introducing myself. So as I explained, I'm Carrie from Carrie Dubber Therapy, and I've got many years experience working within groups, self-esteem groups and courses, and individually. And I've been working more recently with mindset and helping people with areas of imposter syndrome and confidence to find the pattern of thinking and habits of behavior that actually keep you stuck. But what emerges sometimes is that you can become sort of stuck in a rut almost and doing things because you've always done them in a certain way. And there's a disconnect between what you're doing and how you feel in yourself and what that means, how your values or what matters to you most might have been disregarded to some degree because there might have been reasons to do the job you're doing or be in the relationship you're in. And there's valid reasons for that. But sometimes we put aside our own values, our own personal aspirations, what we want most. And it's almost like those get forgotten. But the thing is, when we put these things to aside to such a degree that we forget or we lose ourselves, we then can feel quite disconnected in terms of emotionally or in our identity. Who am I and what do I stand for and what matters and what's my purpose? So finding your direction can be quite useful and very important in your life to get you back on track. And it's not about throwing everything away, but it's about learning and understanding where am I at and what do I want. So there can be some barriers to that and some things that we do and things that we say to ourselves that stop us really from finding our path. The bottom line is that we need to be honest with ourselves, because we can easily pretend and put up fronts and be quite protective of the decisions that we've already made, and it can feel like I've invested so much in this that I must like it or I must carry on with this. And we at times maybe are not so honest about how we're really feeling or what this role is that we're playing means to us, or the impact or cost of that on us, ourselves. So to change something, we really need to be able to see what really is, not overemphasize things and not underemphasize. So it's seeing things as they really are. And that's sometimes harder than we think because we are so used to sort of pretending or making the best of things and not wanting to see it as it is because of that fear of, I might not be able to cope with the reality of it. So starting from the beginning, having a space and time, set aside some time to really have a reflection, be thinking about what's going on. Now, to do that, it can be helpful to see, where am I now? So that question in and of itself, where am I now? And that doesn't mean orientation, well, I'm at home in this town or city. It means, where am I in my life? What milestones am I at? And is this what I was expecting? Is this what I was hoping for? Am I giving myself a hard time for it? Am I feeling that something is missing? Those sorts of questions to ask yourself where you're at. So giving yourself some time to explore that, but also in the moment, trying to recognize, how am I in myself right now? How am I feeling? So stopping, take a breath, and really sort of expand your awareness to the sensations that you're feeling right now. What's my emotional temperature? What's my emotional feeling right now? Am I sad and happy? Am I excited, vulnerable, scared, ashamed? Be honest about where you are in terms of your emotions and how you feel in your body, noticing it. And then when you notice how you're feeling, try and ask yourself, what's the thought in my head right now about this? What am I saying to myself about where I'm at right now? What am I noticing? What's the role that I'm in? What are the roles that are the most important in my life right now? And what do I notice about those? So it might be useful to make a list of the roles that you have in your life, the most important roles that you have in your life right now. Work roles, home life, caregiving roles, friendship roles, community, spiritual roles that you might have, things you do for others. Make a list. And where are you right now with those things? And once you've done that, then try and identify in those roles that you have right now, what drives you? Write down, what are the thoughts that you have around those roles that maybe are moving away from threat? So sometimes what motivates us is the things we don't want. So for an example, in your work role, you might be in a managerial role, and you might be in that role because you don't want to be left behind, a threat. You don't want to be without the money, another threat. You don't want to be seen as less than those peers that started at the same time as you. Again, a threat of comparison, a threat that you're not as good as other people. So there might be reasons why you're driven to carry on in the role that you are, that are based around the threat. You're trying to get away from those threatful sort of ideas and thoughts. So writing down against the roles that you have, what are the driving forces that might be because you're moving away from threat? And once you've done that, then look at also, what are the actions and what are you doing within those roles that's moving you towards growth? So we have two drivers, like I was saying. So one of the motivations is getting away from something we don't want. And the other is what we are working towards or moving towards because of something we want. And we can have a mixture of those two, or sometimes we notice we're more based around what we don't want rather than what we do want. We are more fearful and threat-based than we are towards the growth. And so without judgment, what you're aiming to do is just see those areas where what's motivating me. So, for example, again, within work, it might be that I'm really motivated to learn more about my role, and I really want to move up into managerial because I've got more opportunity to explore the area of managing other people. And I really want to find out what that takes and how I can expand as a person and as a manager, and I really want to find that out. So it's not based on threat, it's based on how I can grow and thrive and develop. So again, looking at those areas on your list of the roles that you have, and not to be, again, overestimating that or underestimating that, but just noticing those areas within you. It's very useful to do that exercise because it can help you to sort of see what the energy is like for those different roles and what is motivating you most. Now, I utilize within my sort of work this challenging the inner critic, because when we are struggling with not knowing what to do next, what direction to take, we can get caught up in the anxiety of that. And we can frame ourselves as not being capable or fearful of making wrong choices. And again, it's that threat-based sort of response. So before moving on into how we can sort of really build on that sort of growth mindset and finding out what we want, it's useful to challenge some of these barriers, these resistances to making change that can come from this negative sort of mindset and inner critic. So if we are noticing the changes that we feel we need to make, there might be beliefs and interpretations about, I don't think I can do it, I don't think I'm ready, I haven't got enough time, I don't want to put myself under more stress. And the consequences of that are that we are noticing and looking at what we think is going to go wrong. Our emotional state might make us feel more anxious. We feel that in our body, and our behavior might be that we put off proactively taking the actions to look for other opportunities, to go and talk to our boss about what we might be able to take on as a stepping stone to getting and seeking a promotion, or collaborating more with other colleagues that will help us develop our skills and motivation in that area. So being very aware of that inner voice. Remember when we were sort of asking, well, what is it that we notice right now? Where am I at now? There is a feeling, but there's also a voice in our heads. So understanding what that voice is telling you, and is that helpful or unhelpful, and finding ways to update or give an alternative perspective to those thoughts is really helpful. A key aspect of that is noticing what's been happening with other experiences, how I've got myself through them, or what advice I would give if this was somebody else. Now, this ABC strategy is part of my upcoming Foundations for Confidence online course. So you will find all the explanations of how to do this and a step-by-step approach to working with this ABC framework is within that course, and that's coming out very soon. So here I'm just sort of, showing you that utilizing something like this, where you're writing it down, is such a fundamental, helpful stage to go through, so that you start to become really aware of maybe some of the subconscious inner chat that happens automatically that you are just responding to. The consequences happen, but we're not always aware of the beliefs and the meanings and the interpretation that we might have. So look out for that. There's opportunities to sign up for that very soon, and I look forward to hearing from you about that. So coming on to how we can start developing that motivation to change is from really understanding the roles that we're in, but it's starting to build that compelling future of what we actually want. We have to provide ourselves with the reasons why we want to change. We have to give ourselves that compelling view, imagining what that might be like. It's like within a sales position, you might provide the benefits, the transformation, the outcomes, the reason why you might find that really engaging, return of the investment of putting yourself through something. So learning to understand your needs and what gives you energy is part of that. And then understanding what you want, it ignites almost that excitement within you. So asking the question, what do I want? Not what I don't want, but what do I actually want? What is it that I want to build on in the next few months, in the next year? Believing that it's possible that you can make a change. So the nuts and bolts of that is to start with a visualization. Imagine, and I want you to invite you to, with me now, imagine that the next year is going to be the best year of your life. You're going to have the best year of your life. This time next year, you're going to look back and say, things have really changed for me. It's been fantastic. I really have surpassed what I hoped for. What would have happened? What would have happened to make that the best year of your life? What would be the things that would be in place that would have happened for you that would make that for you the best? Write those things down. This time next year, what would have happened to make that the best year? What would you be doing? What are the things that would be in your life, in your routine, that you would be doing on a regular basis because that's your life? Would you be going to the gym every morning? Would you be running your company yourself? Would you be heading up a team that really were engaged and you had a fantastic rapport and support from? Would you be feeling really good? Would you have a healthy body? Would you be taking care of yourself? Would you be focusing on the people in your life that really mattered to you? And how would you be feeling if this were the best year of your life? Start writing down some of those things for yourself in your notebook, if you have a journal, on your phone, dictaphone, voice note. Go from your gut, really engage with that felt sense of this for me feels like it would be great, because they are your milestones. They are, in effect, your compass. They are the aim for you. So we can't always get to the best year in our life in a year, but we now have a direction in which to go. You've now laid down some of the things that are important to you, that you want, that you haven't got yet, maybe all of them, but something that you recognize that would make a difference for me in my life. And to do that, the next step from that is to then make some of those things. If it was, I want to be really fit and healthy, I'm going to be fit and healthy. I'm going to wake up every morning with loads of energy. What are the steps that maybe would create that environment for you? So would it be, I'd be getting up at 6 o'clock every morning. I'd be doing a little bit of exercise. I would have a healthy meal for breakfast. I would have that protein shake with all the whey, wheats and rye and fresh fruit that I've always aspired to having. I would be doing that. And I would be having my workplace organized. I would know what I'm doing every day. I'd have a structure for that. I'd have people that worked for me and with me. So from those areas that you've identified that would, in a sense, be the areas that you would want in your life that would make it better for you, break down each area into, well, what would that look like? What are the actions and behaviors that would mean that that was happening? They are your milestones. They are the things that you can start to put in place bit by bit, the stepping stones towards the best life that you want. Like saying, I want a really good body. I want to be fit. I want to have a fit and healthy body. But I haven't gone to the gym yet. I haven't been able to do that. Okay. But I'm aspiring to that. And that's what I want. What would be my daily routine then if this was a year from now and I was doing it? What would those things be? And how can I break those down into the steps that I can take towards that? This is part of that compelling future that you're aspiring to, that you're giving yourself those milestones and roadmaps in a much more directional way. I know where I'm going. I know what I want. I haven't got there yet, but yet is the key word. And if you break down those milestones to small enough bite-sized chunks, that's where things happen. And once we build on those small changes, 1% at a time, they incrementally build up into routines and habits that make fundamental change. So have a go. Utilize what I've been explaining here. Now, see if you can put some of that into action. What I'd like you to also think about is signing up for my Foundations for Confidence course, which really helps to break down this work with the inner critic, to help you separate yourself out from that negative critical voice that can keep you stuck, can keep you feeling like you can't make these changes. One way of doing that is that challenging using the framework, but also visualization and self-compassion work, which we work on within the foundations. So think about that. That's an online course that's coming soon, so you can do that in your own time. And there will be a forum where questions can be asked, and I'll be available for those. But the other really valuable course is starting in October, and that's for an online in-person group program. So it's running over 8 weeks, and it's looking at confidence in particular and how we engage with making changes and building our inner confidence, letting go of the inner critic, and making those changes step by step. So utilizing some of this work of finding our value, finding our meaning, and putting in place those actions. Using the group as a way to help us keep on track, learning from each other, but also giving you that sense of identifying fully within this space accountability so that you can keep on track with your own goals to make a difference in your own life. Really valuable. So again, add your name to the waiting list. The launch is in September to start in October, but please put yourself on the waiting list. It'd be wonderful to have you along. Okay, I will stop the recording now, and I will be asking for questions. If anyone has any questions, just let me know. That would be fantastic. Okay, so stop sharing now, and I will end questions. Thank you for everyone for attending today live. And if you're seeing this as recording, you can then send me questions if you have any to my email address on info@carriedubbertherapy.co.uk. And thank you for attending, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye.